Now, there's pressure tonight from within the Labour Party on the Welsh Government to reconsider its decision to scrap a grant for disabled people. The Welsh Independent Living Grant is paid to around 1,300 people.
But the money is being passed to local councils who are now reassessing those who receive it. With councils under financial pressure, campaigners fear care packages will end up being cut.
We'll hear from the Minister responsible for social care in a moment. First, though, here's Paul Martin.
Nathan Lee Davis and Peter Brawley, two disabled men with high-level care and support needs. For years, they benefited from a UK government scheme to help them live independently, ILF, the Independent Living Fund.
Just wait there a minute.
It gave Nathan a budget to employ carers and personal assistants like Tia for more than 80 hours a week.
I suffer from a progressive genetic condition and I can live independently because I've received the Independent Living Fund.
The fund has allowed Peter, who suffers from a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, to have a career.
I've been a wheelchair user since I was 30, and that's 41 years ago. My ILF allowed me to employ other people to help me get up in the morning, to get ready to go to work, and be there at night to help me when I went home, as my condition deteriorates.
But Nathan and Peter are now in very different situations because of where they live. Nathan lives in Wales, here in Wrexham, and Peter lives in Scotland. The UK government scrapped the ILF in 2015. It cut and transferred the funding to English councils and to the Welsh and Scottish governments, a decision strongly opposed by disability campaigners and many in Labour, including Jeremy Corbyn. The Welsh government used the money to create the Welsh Independent Living Grant, but now, like England, it's moving the cash and the responsibility to councils.
I fear the Welsh government is washing their hands of all responsibility. I feel part of the community and I don't want that to be taken away by cost-cutting local authorities, which is a reality that I am facing.
In Scotland, a different route has been taken. The government here in Edinburgh decided to create its own national scheme, the Scottish Independent Living Fund, so people here kept getting their support in the same way as before.
I think the disabled people in Wales are big and ugly enough to get wired in to the government to prove to them that to do away with ILF and put the money in to local authorities is a detrimental step back into the dark ages.
Last month, Nathan took his battle to Welsh Labour's spring conference in Llandudno. As a Labour member, it's a fight he's having with his own party.
I used to live in Scotland and sometimes I wish I still lived there so I could benefit from the Scottish ILF system. And that breaks my heart as a patriotic Welshman.
At the conference, the minister responsible gave this defence of the plans.
Every penny piece of the £27 million that we have available in Wales to go to support people in independent living, every penny piece will go to those individuals.
But the conference voted against the Welsh Labour leadership and to keep the grant.
All those against, that's carried.
Nathan said this picture of him with Jeremy Corbyn was worth 1,000 words. But it may be too late. The money has already been given to councils and they're in the process of reassessing everyone who qualified for ILF. And our research suggests some councils have concerns about the cost. Flintshire, for example, told us that the money it expects to get won't be enough to maintain existing care packages, so it will have to find extra money from elsewhere in its budget. The Welsh Local Government Association says councils will ensure existing recipients get appropriate care and support in the future. Despite that, several Welsh Labour politicians want a rethink.
The Welsh Government is separate from the Labour Party, although Labour runs the Assembly, it is a separate thing. But obviously any major party conference where there is a resolution won in this way, and Nathan, did it so well, I really do think that it should be looked at again.
The government says it's working with councils to support independent living for all disabled people, and the old grant created a two-tier system. But the chief executive of the Scottish Fund says taking away a national scheme isn't the way to solve that problem.
Devolving ILF funds to local authorities is kind of a bit like shifting the deck chairs in the Titanic in terms of solving the problems of inequity and funding shortages within social care generally. But I think that using a relatively small amount of money in ILF and taking it away from individual disabled people to distribute more thinly across more disabled people is really not going to have the impact that we need.
So Wales and Scotland are taking very different approaches, but with unhappiness in the Welsh Labour ranks, will the government in Cardiff reconsider?
Paul Martin reporting. Well, what does the minister in charge of this change have to say? Well, I spoke to Hugh Iranca-Davies earlier, so why is he following England and scrapping the grant?
We're not following England at all. When England did this, they actually did it at the drop of a hat with no guidance to local authorities, no transition period. So we learned from the example in England, and rather than follow their line, we set up a stakeholder group, and it included most of the umbrella organisations for people with disabilities in Wales. And we worked this through, and we spent some quite time and detailed conversations working through what way should we go. We don't want to replicate the two-tier system that previously existed, where some people got a top-up, if you like, and other people didn't get access to it. And the other aspect with this is, how do we make sure that the whole £27 million that's been passed across to Wales goes in its entirety to the individual?
OK, well, you say you don't want a two-tier system. You want everybody. You want to spread the money.
We want to make sure it goes to the right person, and if they have more complex needs, to go to satisfying the independent living needs.
Yeah, but on the one hand, and you said this in conference, every penny piece will go to the individuals.
Absolutely.
Now, there are 1,300 in Wales already getting this money.
Yeah.
But you don't want a two-tier system, so you want more people to get it. So this is going to be more costly.
No, misunderstanding. So the £27 million that's coming across, we want every penny piece of that to go to the individuals who most need it. So the guidance that's gone out to local authorities, who, by the way, already administer a lot of social care provisions, so they have the systems in place, is that they should now go to an individual, whether it's the individual that you've interviewed in a previous piece, but any individual, and they should sit down with them and they should say, right, under Welsh legislation, different from England, there is a statutory duty to co-produce the package for you. We are obliged as local authorities to work with you, not to do it to you, but to work with you. And if your needs for independent living are higher, more complex, more costly as well, and if it requires not just local authority services, but it could be direct payments to you to use your existing provision, or it could be a third party, then that's what you should have.
But are you saying...
It's not the English model at all.
Yeah, fine. But are you saying that the 1,300 who currently get it will get it and at exactly the same level as they're getting now?
What I can't say is it'll be precisely exactly the same. Otherwise, you would just replicate it and say, we'll just carry on as you are. But the interesting thing here is...
There will be losers here. There will be people who are getting it now
There
who
won't be
will
losers. That's where I disagree with you.
You're handing this over to councils, and it's going to be more expensive, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you're saying there won't be losers, and you want even more people to be in the scheme. The costs are going to go up. Councils don't have this money. They're under extreme pressure, especially when it comes to social care. You're passing it to them. They won't get an extra penny of money. They're going to get that 27 million, the same as you had.
Now, we will have, of course, as time goes by, those bigger discussions, and we're not afraid of that, on is there enough money in the pot generally. But in terms of the transition to this and looking after people with the most complex challenging needs, and you asked me what advice would I give to Nathan or anybody else, when a local authority frontline worker sits down with somebody like Nathan, they should go there with the knowledge of what their existing package is. And they should start from that basis and then say, Right. Now, is that package
that
right?
Sounds great.
Could we do more?
That
could
sounds
we do
great.
it
They
differently?
could end up with more money. But what I'm asking
not
you
just
is
money, by the way. It
no,
isn't
but the
all
care.
money.
But
yes,
who's
indeed.
going to pay for it? Councils can't afford it.
Well, it's not the feedback we're getting back directly from councils. There'll be individual circumstances where somebody will not agree with elements of the package, in which case I would say to that individual, challenge it. You also have a statutory right in Wales, different from England, to an independent advocate.
Right.
And they can be with you in the whole process.
Will you rethink this? Because that's what the conference wants you to do. Have a rethink.
We're not going to rethink the policy in its entirety because the stakeholder engagement we had has brought us to this point.
In its entirety? So there's room for manoeuvre here?
What there is room to do is to monitor it, and here's the guarantee I'll give you. If in our monitoring, and we've commissioned, by the way, 2 umbrella disability rights organisations to independently monitor what's going on, if we pick up the glitches which need to be tweaked and adjusted, you bet your bottom dollar I'll be doing that. But the position we've arrived at came out of stakeholder engagement that took us to this in a 2-year transition.
Yeah.
We're well advanced on it.
But
so,
will you scrap it? If it doesn't work and people
the
aren't getting
evidence
what
is
they...
not showing that it needs to be scrapped. The evidence is showing that there's positive response from the 10 authorities that have already done this, both in terms of the process and the outcomes of the package. So we'll keep on monitoring this.
You're clearly a passionate minister. Do you fancy being First Minister? Are you going to go for the race? Are you going to go for the job of succeeding Karen Jones?
You have sprung that right on me. I have not made a decision yet. I've had enthusiastic encouragement to stand. I'm considering it. I have not made a decision yet. But it's a long race. This could be tortoise and hare territory.
And when do you foresee that you might make a decision?
Who knows? I'm notoriously slow at coming to decisions like this. My family are important. My colleagues here in the Assembly are important. My constituency party is. I'll come to it in good time when I've had all those discussions. But I have been encouraged by the messages of support and the encouragement I've had to stand. But I'll wait and see.
Sounds
at the
as if
moment.
you'll go for it.
Wait and see.
Here at Anchor Davis, thank you very much.
Thank you.